experienced it know that to be true. This is part of the problem, because this is typically what most folks are sucking down all day long, these drinks. And by the way, battery acid is just a little bit more acidic than Coke. So that's sort of a problem, I think. And you look at the other things there that are also a problem. We have a balancer, and it's based on about 5,000 years of Chinese medicine, traditional Asian medicine. And we actually had a study done several years ago looking at this product and what it does. The Goyen study. And by the way, it was in a peer-reviewed journal. And what this study said, it took 100 patients and it randomized those patients. Individuals, I mean, not patients. It randomized 100 people and had them take this product. And after about 4 weeks, surveyed these people, and you see the results there. And that's pretty significant changes, statistically significant changes in their mood, in their vigor, in their tension, and in their fatigue. I don't know of anything else that does that. I don't know of a pharmaceutical that's ever been studied that does that. Because all those are all in different directions, you know. To have less tension and more vigor. It's the perfect balance, the perfect balancing agent. You can look up that study. So we know that vitamins are important and minerals are important, and the NIH tells us that, the National Institutes of Health. We understand that those things can't happen in the body. Important things like cell growth and general growth of the body and development in our immune system, they can't work right without these factors. There are literally thousands of things that have to happen in our body, the most complex machine on the planet, and we gotta have those things or they don't work. They simply don't. So, if you gotta have them, the question is, are we getting them? And Volgani did these, and Volgani was from the University of Tennessee, and by the way, he was working for a cereal company at the time. So what he was trying to do was try to figure out, do we need to fortify our food? Or are we getting enough in just what we eat? So what he did was he looked at everything people were eating, including supplements at that time, whatever they were taking, he looked at what they were doing. And he figured out that over these years, in the early 2000s, they were all deficient in A, C, D, E, magnesium, potassium, inadequate in from 1/4 to 3/4 of the population. In the case of potassium, 97% of the population deficient. That's a very important electrolyte in the body. So he did that study, and then he said, well, we'll make some changes, and let's see if that didn't get better. And in fact, they did that study again a few years later, just a few years ago, same author. And look, everything got worse. Every single one of those things got worse. A, C, D, E, calcium, magnesium, potassium, all got worse than they had been in the previous period. And again, the whole idea was to sell cereal. That's what they were trying to do here. They were trying to make a case to fortify your cereal, and you desperately need the cereal. So if you say, oh, well, okay, doc, but that was like 5-6 years ago. Okay, well, let's look at something a year ago. Digestive Guidelines Advisory Council, which is this huge group, Department of Health and Human Services, the USDA, Department of Agriculture, all involved in this project. And this is about a 3-day project. And you can go online and watch about 40 to 60 hours of presentations and testimonies and get all this information out. But what they said was, this is what we were deficient in. DACE, calcium, magnesium, potassium, all the same stuff. We relearned it again for the 3rd time, and yet we've not really done anything about it other than made some more guidelines, advice, if you will. And this is what they said. This was their report that just came out about a year ago. And again, look at the bottom line of that, which is also interesting, because that's the same thing that our EPA said, and that is that nutrition-related major cancers are those, and we talked about that. And those are the big killers, and they're also the most common. And they said the diet quality was inadequate. And why might that be? Well, University of Texas looked at it, and they said it was the food and the soil. If it's not in the soil, it's not in the food.
That's right.
We take better care of our animals because farmers are very careful to make sure their animals get proper minerals and vitamins. Very compulsive about that, giving them their shots and their pills and putting extra things in their feed, if you will. But our soil's no good, and if our soil's no good, our food's no good. And this was really interesting. I took this from several different sources, and if you just look at this real quick, the idea is it takes 8 vitamins today to get the amount of vitamin C that we could have gotten 50 years ago from 1 orange. And it takes, 8 oranges get the number of vitamin C from 1. It takes 80 cups of spinach to get what you used to get in 1 cup of spinach in 1950. A big Rutgers study looked at corn, and they said it takes 19 years of corn to get the nutrition. Our wheat source has probably got about half as much protein as it used to have. So now if you do the math here, this is really interesting. When I first got this and I sort of started thinking about it, I said, well, I wonder how many calories are in an ear of corn, a cup of spinach, and an orange. You know how many? Probably about 170. 170 calories. So if you're eating that and getting the amount of proper nutrition from that 50 years ago in America, 170 calories. Now, if you try to get the same amount of nutrition from spinach, corn, and an orange today, a little over 3,000 calories. So think about that. Think about if your body's screaming for the good stuff, and so you eat a cup of spinach, and well, I didn't get it. You eat an ear of corn, I didn't get it. Well, I'll eat 18 more. And then the body gets it, but that's a problem. And everybody's saying that this is Harvard. Vitamin D is a problem. Vitamin D deficiency is huge. And you see what the average intake in America is, and you see what the RDA is, 600, but most experts say you should probably have 800 to 1,000. Guess what? If you just happen to take a multivitamin from this company and take a calcium vitamin D product from this company every day, you get about 1,000 IUs of vitamin D. I don't know how that all worked out, but it did, and that's kind of cool. And fiber is important. And the average fiber intake in America is probably about 15 grams, which should be closer to 35. And if you took a 360 shake from this company and a couple of shots of Mila a day and some greens, you get about 34 grams of fiber a day. That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. That's hitting the mark. And I'm going to finish now. And The Blue Zone is a great book, and I recommend you all look at it. It's just fun reading. And what it is actually a National Geographic fella who went all over the world and went to blue zones. And blue zones are places where people live to be 90, 100 years old and healthy and feeling good and moving. And these are the things I found to be important. These are the things I think that a company like this helps us with. Finding purpose, finding happiness, being with good people, being with family, people you care about, living with purpose. And that's what whole health is about. Whole health truly is about living better. It's about moving better. Coach is going to talk to you more about that in a minute, about getting proper sleep. If you do all those, I really think that we really can reduce the obesity epidemic that's going on and the people miserable and hurting. Because, I just sit in the hospital. As I walk in the hospital, and the folks in front of me and the folks in back of me and the folks sitting around, I just look and I'm an incredibly optimistic person. I'll figure a way out of getting, you can ask Rochelle. We'll be watching the ball game and there may be 30 seconds left, and I'm figuring out how we can make this work. 3 touchdowns behind, but surely we can make this work. Until the end, man, I'm trying to make it work. But I get kind of discouraged some days in the hospital, looking at the people. Because I'm like, man, we've got to reach the people with the right information. This group can do that. And the world desperately needs it. The stories yesterday, I don't need to make any claims. If anyone was listening yesterday, they heard the amazing things that can happen and what we can do for our veterans. Listen to Sergeant Major Satterley. listen to Chad Pritchard. I did a 10-mile run with Chad here about a month ago, and that young man is focused now. And he was, in a ditch, homeless shelter in Denver a couple of years ago, and addicted to drugs, and really just kind of wanted to end it. And now the man is running 100-mile ultras, which I always hoped to do. And I may have got too old now, I don't know. I'm going to talk to Coach, and surely he can get me there. But anyway, I got to go, y'all. But I'm going to be around all day. I'm very excited. I'm excited to hear Coach speak, both coaches and all the leaders today. And it's just a pleasure being with y'all. Y'all have a great day. God bless.